Welcome back, Irish fans, to Breaking Down Braves Boys podcast. Notre Dame got some great news a few weeks ago with Markus Burton announcing that he would commit to Notre Dame. But since then, things have more or less gone off the rails for the Notre Dame staff on the recruiting trail. And want to talk about some of their misses that they've had lately, how big of a deal they are, and then kind of where they go from here. And one of the last recruiting podcasts before we start getting into more team basketball talk, which I'm looking forward to. But right now, Notre Dame's recruiting certainly does need to be talked about. It's not a guarantee that they're going to finish the class in a bad spot. It's not a guarantee that they're going to finish the class in a good spot like they did last year. Since signing day, 2022, when Notre Dame signed one of Mike Bray's best classes and J.J. Starling, Van Allen Lubin, Dom Campbell, things certainly haven't gone, I think, the way Notre Dame had hoped they would. They landed Marcus Hammond in the transfer portal. Really nice get, a guard who averaged almost 19 points a game last year at Niagara and seems to have some translatable skills to the ACC. Adds to a deep backcourt that Notre Dame has. But then on the other side of things, and maybe a bigger deal than even landing Hammond, is that they couldn't land a transfer big. They tried to get Grant Basile, put a lot of effort in there, put some effort into Keon Brooks, put some effort into some other guys, and contacted probably around 20 guys who to fill the need of a true big man that Notre Dame could get to kind of help develop Nate Laszewski and do some dirty work. And Notre Dame couldn't get that, and now they have a huge question mark on their team this year. Van Allen Lubin obviously answers some of those questions. Nate Laszewski answers a few, and now they're really in a position though where you have to rely on two bigs who haven't given you anything in the past. Dom Campbell is a guy who I didn't really expect to come in and play, even though he does have some translatable skills. I thought he was going to take a little bit. Matt Zone also, you haven't seen anything from, and he's a junior. So Notre Dame hasn't put themselves in a great spot there, and it's because of a recruiting miss that they were not able to fill that role in the spring. And that bad recruiting momentum has kind of trickled into 2023. You look at the guard board, Aiden Holloway off the board, Data Ames off the board, RJ Jones off the board. And it's particularly upsetting for RJ Jones after they had made their top six, or made the top six for RJ Jones and put in a ton of time. Watching him at Peach Jam, Marco Jackson and Laurent Rice are still on the board. But who knows where Notre Dame's at with them at the moment. Neither of them have spoken too much about Notre Dame publicly. RJ Jones, though, was certainly a disappointing one that Notre Dame couldn't even get him on campus. Looking at the forward board, which is what I'm more concerned with because Notre Dame does have a guard commit in Markus Burton. And they also have, I think to me, it's a lot easier to get guards in the portal than bigs, as proven by this cycle for Notre Dame. There's always good guards in the portal, always at least serviceable ACC guards. But this backcourt situation is not great. I think to an extent, you can live off the portal in the backcourt, but I do think Notre Dame needs another guard in that area in 2023, especially since Markus Burton probably won't be a guy who comes in as a starting point guard or even a starting two. It's really important that Notre Dame can fill that in the transfer portal now. And they put themselves in a position to where if they don't expand the board a little more than they have, Parker Friedrichsen did pick up an offer today, and that's expanding the board a little bit. So it seems like they want another guard. Friedrichsen's more of a two. So I think they want that backcourt duo, but they're generally going to rely off the transfer portal. And I've never thought that's an awesome strategy. I think they can get some good players out of there to fill gaps, but teams who kind of load up on transfers really struggle early. And especially in an offense like Mike Bray wants to run, where it's kind of free flowing. Guys have to know how to play with each other, and having a new group of transfers every year is going to be tough. And they're setting themselves up to have a new group of transfers every year if they can't bring in guards in high school classes like this, and they've missed on a lot. The rest don't look incredibly promising. There's three that are kind of up in the air, but a lot of guys have already gone off the board. And guard recruiting, I think, certainly is taking a step back this year than it has, or as opposed to a Blake Wesley and J.J. Starling commitment in back-to-back classes. So Notre Dame's backcourt is going to be barren. at the start of next season. Maybe JJ Starling's there. Alex Wade will be there. And then I guess you consider J.R. Knesny a guard. Maybe Tony Sanders is considered a guard. I think he's more of a 4 if he ever sees the floor at Notre Dame. And then you have Markus Burton, who I'm not 100% sure is going to be their starting point guard or able to be their starting point guard next season. So Notre Dame certainly got some work to do in the backcourt, and they haven't really helped themselves lately. It'd be huge for them if they could get really anybody to commit to them as a high schooler this year, just so they can have some depth there. They could have some guys to develop and have some mainstays in the program. And that would be huge. I'm less concerned about guard than forward, though. Notre Dame's forward board right now looks like J.P. Estrella, who likely will not end up at Notre Dame. It's essentially a given that he won't end up at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's number one target in the front court, who maybe they even stayed on a little bit too long. They were in the race the whole time, but really always viewed as a dark horse candidate who could maybe make a late push if they got him on campus 1 or 2 more times. It's Xavier Booker, rivals number 1 player in the country right now. Notre Dame thought they had a shot with and fell short, even though Booker did like them. Zayden High, they seem to be out of the equation with, and TJ Power, probably the most discouraging one, is a top 20 player who Notre Dame got on somewhat early, and everyone else came later. Notre Dame kind of just got outclassed on that one and didn't make the top 5. The top 5 is Virginia, Duke, UNC, Boston College, and Iowa, and Notre Dame could not make the cut, although they got an official visit from him and were 2 or 3 deep for every Peach Jam game Power played. So the recruiting has certainly been disappointing lately. I will give them a little bit of credit there, or a little bit of flack, or not flack there, a little bit of forgiveness there, because Ryan Humphrey was a huge factor in his recruitment, and they didn't make the top 5 either at Oklahoma. So certainly disappointing for Power and Booker, but I don't know what Notre Dame was really expecting there with top 20 guys, 2 of them being their top 2 front court targets. Now Notre Dame's in a spot where they're really going to have to expand the board in both areas, essentially. They've extended a little bit with guards. Now you got to find forwards that you like. Notre Dame has more forward depth in the coming years than they have guard depth. I consider J.R. Knesny more of a forward at Notre Dame. Tony Sanders, Venon Lubin, Dom Campbell, Matt Zona. That's 5. And Notre Dame, it's about all they have. I'm not 100% on board with betting on Venon Lubin, betting on Dom Campbell to be your mainstays for the next 3 years after this year without really any other depth. But there's certainly worse strategies. The guard kind of room next year is a lot more barren than the other room. However, Notre Dame can't afford to just go in and strike out over and over and over again on guys. And that's what they've done this summer. And they're going to have to expand the board and find a high school guy. I think it's a must that Notre Dame lands a high school guy at forward this offseason, preferably a big, like a true big man, like a JP Estrella type who can do the dirty work, can be kind of your anchor defensively. Notre Dame doesn't have that right now. And Venon Lubin is solid there, and Dom and Matt are physical, but I don't think Notre Dame really has an anchor defensively down there. And it's going to be really important that they can get that in this class or in the portal. And it's hard to get that in the portal, as evidenced by what we saw Notre Dame do this year, which was strike out in the portal with bigs. And if they decided they didn't really want one, then that is neglect, because Notre Dame really needed that. Curtis Williams Jr. is the only forward on the board left. I don't know how hard Notre Dame is pursuing him. They do have some connections there, but Williams, I think, solves some issues, doesn't solve all the issues that TJ Power and Xavier Booker would. And again, I'm not asking for that class. I just think the general outlook on Notre Dame's recruiting in the front court is not great. They're going to need a guy like Hamlet Tibbs, maybe Anthony Solomon if he takes over that role in the front court, to really hammer down and get a guy, because Notre Dame hasn't done that since landing Venon Lubin in the fall. So Notre Dame, like I said, have to hit the transfer portal hard in both position groups and have to expand the board. To me, I think you need at least 2 or 3 high school players in this class, and they're not going to get more than 3. If I had to bet on that, I'm betting that they're not getting more than 3. And then the transfer portal, I think they get a few guards. It's going to be tough to get a good forward out of it, though. And I think they are capable of doing it. This is a solid staff with a lot of connections, but I think the Tibbs hire, if that is the hire, will really help them in that aspect too, having more connection with mid majors. But like I said, Notre Dame, I don't think can live off the transfer portal with kind of the way Mike Brey wants to build his program, the academic type requirements in Notre Dame, and really just everything about Notre Dame doesn't really cater itself to the transfer portal, especially the basketball program. And Notre Dame's going to have to get guys in high school to be able to sustain what they're trying to sustain. And they aren't doing that right now. That's not to say things can't get better there, but it's a harsh reality for Notre Dame on the recruiting trail right now. They need to get guys, and they haven't done that thus far outside of Markus Burton, who is a nice get, but it's really hard to win with one-man high school classes, even in the transfer portal era. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about Notre Dame's recruiting right now. It's a little harsh, but man, they have to get guys, and they haven't done that right now. And they don't really have guys trending towards them on the recruiting trail either. So certainly reason to be concerned right now. With the transfer portal does mask a little of that. I'm just not sold that the transfer portal can fix really all you have in college basketball right now. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. And we'll be talking about more actual basketball soon. So thank you guys. God bless. Peace.